Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Benchwarmers. I am Benjamin, and I'm here to talk about sports. What is going on with everybody? JM1620 in the house. Apache Pothead, what's going on? Official Tony, what's up? Ugly Man Chief, what's going on, dude? Yeah, daylight savings, baby. Much brighter outside right now. My God, I got tired of it just being like dark as hell outside when we're doing the show. It always made me feel like we were doing it like way later than we should be doing. But anyway, appreciate you guys coming in. Will Tour 1000, what's going on? Chaparral 2K, what is up? Hamato Broshi, hey, what's going on, man? And it's Lou 11. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm surprised Flashfire's on here. What's going on with that? But anyway, oh, and David Kearns. David Kearns, where you at, brother? Um, I don't want to say like a lot of stuff happened over the last week, but definitely today in the last 48 hours in the NFL, shit's been going down. Oh, everybody got hit with ads. That's great. Not my fault. Not my fault at all. But Southside Steven Seabrook, what's going on, dude? Gonna be seeing you in a couple days and hanging out for an entire week in Las Vegas. Beautiful Las Vegas. But anyway, yes, we'll talk about that here in a second. Jersey pickups. A few came perfectly in time for the Pac-12 tournament this week. Steven Seabright and I are going, hitting all the goddamn games starting on Wednesday, but we're flying in tomorrow night. Completely forgetting about the Mountain West Conference also doing their games this week. But unfortunately, we're not going to be catching any of those, even though I've got all my money on Utah State. Go Aggies. And then I think tomorrow, if I would have gotten in early enough, the not the WCC, but the oh my god, and not the WAC. What conference? Oh my god. No, it is WCC. Sorry. Gonzaga versus St. Mary's more than likely for the championship game tomorrow, but anyway. Gonna be missing that, even though I feel like that would be a pretty fucking sweet game to go to. It's Lou says Jason Kelsey pads talking to him like the Green Goblin mask. Yes, I imagine they are, especially with all the news that's been going on. And Chaparral 2K says also wore the Brewers tennis pack John today, and that's such an underrated hat. I agree with that. That entire collection was pretty sick. I don't know if it was a new era quality or not, but I love how the ball in the Batterman logo is raised. But I think it was a new era thing because I know we would have done it flat, but hmm. No. They did that on purpose. They did that on purpose. Sorry. That was totally a John move right there. Or Freddie. I can't remember which one did it, but anyway. Jersey pickups this week. So kicking off. This is one I already have, but I just wanted to get a double X because I got a smoking deal on it. Needed something for wintertime, even though we're going into spring right now. But Terrell Brandon, Minnesota Timberwolves in a size 52. Some to go over my hoodies. Go Ducks, baby. Go Ducks. More than likely, this one or my size 48 is going to be making the trip to Las Vegas. Ain't mad about that. From a buddy of mine back in Indiana, scored two from him for like $40 a piece. Now, I don't have a ton of the college champion jerseys, and for whatever reason, I remember seeing he had them. No, Wiltor, I did not hear that. That must have just broken like right before the show started. So I'm gonna have to add that in the mix in a little bit. But anyway, I only have a couple Georgetown jerseys for Alonzo Mourning and Allen Iverson. And so I decided to go down the path and start picking up other colleges and stuff like that. So Bobby Jackson, University of Minnesota. Of course, this is back in the day before the NIL, so no name on the back. But I know for a fact that Bobby Jackson was the man with number 24. And then Kentucky Wildcats, 00. So this, of course, is Tony Delk, who had a decent NBA career, I would say. So, Poppy Pulsa 25 asks, "Yo Ben, is there an inspiration behind the Diamondbacks you're wearing?" Nope, just a cool colorway. So, I mean, think like mid 90s Milwaukee Brewers. So, anyway. S-Man 1503 is pissed off because the Cowboys haven't done anything. I got a feeling like they're going to pick up Austin Jones. I don't know why. And it has a lot to do with the fact that, Aaron Jones. I said Austin Jones. I'm going to say Aaron Jones. The Green Bay Packers obviously released Aaron Jones because they picked up Josh Jacobs. I'm going to go into more detail about it a little bit later. But I feel like because he was always a Cowboy killer, might be a smart move to pick him up. Plus, they kind of need a running back on account of the fact they don't have Tony Pollard anymore, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, and then yeah, Washington. I was gonna say that's what Will Tor 1000 said, that Austin Eckler is going to the Washington Commanders. Interesting move there. It's Lewis saying T. Higgins to the Patriots. Interesting. Um, no, I didn't know. I did not hear that Brian Burns got traded to the Giants. I was busy for like the last hour. My God, what the hell did I miss? Anyway, my friend Marlon up in Seattle also sent me a couple jerseys. He did a rush order on these so I could take them to Vegas with us for the Pac-12 tournament. Super excited. These are ones that I've wanted for a while. This one is not necessarily era specific, and that means this particular player did not wear this particular uniform. And he was also brought into the NBA after the champion era ended. But I made a bit of a judgment call just because of the fact that there were no other players on this particular team that I needed from this particular era, because I pretty much have them all. Not to mention because I always go down the path of players that went to very specific colleges, needed representatives from each one. And from this era specifically, I once again have all the players who went to every single college that was available. So it's just like, you know what? Screw it. I went custom. So Minnesota Timberwolves, number 13. That's right. Yours and my favorite from the University of Oregon, Luke Ridnour. And I mean, this came out swimmingly well. All he had to do for this one, because it was a draft jersey from back in the day, just had the number 1 on the front and the back. So cleaned that one up pretty good and got the 13, the Ridnour slapped on the front and the back. So good on you, Marlon. And this one specifically, same thing. Not during the champion era, came a little bit after, but I had another. This was a Pacers jersey from the pinstripe era. So this is like post 1997. It only had the number 5 on the front, which of course would have been Jalen Rose, but it was blank on the back. So I had him take off the number 5. And once again, former slam dunk champion, University of Oregon great, Freddie Jones. Boom. I'm actually really looking forward to taking this one to Vegas. So I've been wanting a Fred Jones jersey for a long time. Still got a bunch of Blazer jerseys that I need to figure out something to do with, and I'll probably end up doing a Fred Jones for that, because you know what? Like Damian Lillard, he wore number 0, so I feel like that would be a good one to have. So, Marlon, appreciate you, brother, if you're watching. Poppy Policy 25 asks, when do the scripts that drop today drop in store? So here's kind of a weird thing about it. They shipped out today from the warehouse. I know that for a fact because they were supposed to ship out last week, blah, blah, blah. But I do know that every store is getting anywhere between one. I think actually the New York store is getting the Yankees for obvious reasons, but most other stores are getting like 3 or 4 teams, to which case it'll be the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks. I know Great Mall's getting the Giants and the Yankees. I don't know why they're not getting the A's. But yeah, it'll just be local teams pretty much to those areas. So I know the Dodgers pretty much sold out, so I think that's the only time it's really going to come in handy. But yeah, a lot of the other teams that are sold out or close to being sold out were only available online. But anyway, on everything that kind of happened this last week. So leading off with women's college basketball, LSU versus South Carolina for the SEC championship, and this one was a fucking doozy. South Carolina already coming off an absolutely amazing victory over Tennessee, 1.1 seconds left on the clock, and this was, of course, Saturday. Camila Cardoso hitting the game-winning three-pointer to put them over Tennessee to get them into the championship game versus LSU. And, of course, for you guys who follow women's college basketball as closely as I do, South Carolina specifically, because they're a perennial powerhouse, at least in this 2020s era. It's a big deal, and it's win yesterday was 79-72. My internet cut out there for a second. I apologize. Give me 1 second to kind of get things back right. But yeah, horrible defense on that three-pointer by Tennessee. I mean, she had no coverage on her whatsoever. They allowed her to inbound the ball, and then bam, she just busted it in their eye, game winner. But anyway, the melee that broke out during the LSU South Carolina game is pretty fucking crazy. 6 total players ejected, including which Camila Cardoso being the most prominent figure from the South Carolina team, who not only was ejected, but he's going to be missing the first game of the women's NCAA tournament. The whole thing started when Camila Cardoso did a hard foul on Flage Johnson, to which case the fight kind of broke out. Players from both sides of the bench came out. Johnson's brother came down for the stands and was escorted out by police. He was not arrested, but he was just escorted out of the arena by police. You cannot do that. Um, Crazy, man. Fucking crazy. But the real impact of course, is South Carolina missing the first round. Why my internet's cutting out? This is supposed to be facts with a new tower. But anyway, um, so to be honest, and then LSU is going to be missing some players as well. Angel Reese did a great job. I know internet is totally letting me down. My God. He had charges pressed. I thought LSU said they weren't pressing charges. That's a new development right there. I'm gonna have to look that one up as soon as the show wraps up. That is crazy. I mean, it makes sense because as a spectator, you cannot come down onto the court. Um, LSU, of course, smart, not getting involved whatsoever because more than likely she would have had slap with a suspension or something like that. So good head on her. Um, which leads me to the question of whether or not South Carolina, as undefeated as they are, going in as a 1 seed, obviously, in whatever regional bracket they do, but we're going to find that out on Sunday for Selection Sunday. Um, are they going to escape the first round? I mean, we have obviously had 2 moments in men's NCAA history where a number 16 seed upset a 1 seed, but it is, of course, has never happened in the women's game. And because of this suspension, it leads me to believe that there is a possibility that this could happen. I am going to be betting in favor of that. Just that's just me. That's just me. I'm not hating on South Carolina. I totally love Dawn Staley and the program that she's put together. But I feel like if this is going to be that moment, so I'm doing it. Ugly Man Chief says, yes, sir. He was arrested and charged with battery and disorderly conduct. That's not good. That's not good. It's Lou 11 says, crazy how I know more women college players than men's in 2024. You know, it's kind of the way it's been going. And that's not a bad thing. I love it actually. Because for so long, with the exception of like University of Tennessee, UConn, I would say, the Oregon Ducks, during those Sabrina Ionescu years, South Carolina, even the old Rutgers squad, and even some Stanford teams, like you knew some players from those squads, but never as like high caliber as we're getting the attention for these days. And I love it. It helps expand the game, and brings, more of that. Fine. I know they're probably either going to get a one. I don't think they're going to have much player issue problem in the first round, especially considering that most of the players they're going to have suspended are bench players. Which is another thing. If you're on the bench and a fight breaks out, keep your ass there. Otherwise, you're getting tossed. So, which is exactly what happened. Chaparral says, I hope to see more Canadian women in NCAA, especially. I think that's going to happen. I mean, there are a lot of Canadian lady basketball players that are playing at the collegiate level. I mean, for sure. I can't name enough at the top of my head, but I know there are. Anyway, sticking with women's college basketball, Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes win their third straight Big Ten title over a nail biter in Nebraska. Went to overtime. Caitlin Clark, of course, started off the game very poorly, only 4 points in the first half, and then crushed it for 30 in the second half, forcing overtime and winning it. The only cringe moment from this game, of course, happened afterward when there's the photo circulating around of Caitlin Clark with the Big Ten title doing like the Kobe um in the locker room. You know which photo I'm talking about. I hate that. Like the first or second time I saw it, it was cool, but I mean, now that it's kind of becoming more of a regular thing, it's kind of lame. But anyway, Ugly Man Chief says, so the Pistons drafting Clark. No, but the crazy thing is the Indiana Fever do have the first pick in the and more over these last couple. Indiana Fever ticket prices have like, or season ticket prices for next season have doubled. Um, Love to see that. So more than likely, Clark going to be going to Indiana Fever. I'm on board with that. I might have to get a jersey. I don't have an Indiana Fever jersey at the moment, and especially as a Pacer fan, that's kind of lame on my part. But Indiana basketball, it's popping, baby. It is popping. Chaparral says, I always get a kick out of Caitlin Clark scoring so much more than Kirk Friends ever could. That's great. It's Lou says that Kobe pick is supposed to be sad as well. I think he was upset his parents weren't there. Yeah, no, exactly. It's the whole backstory behind it, and everybody kind of turns it's not to say that it's comedic, but it is kind of corny that other players do it. It reminds me of the whole Allen Iverson, we talking about practice thing. Like if you read the full transcript or watch the full interview of that moment, that press conference that Iverson had, it's less about the whole aspect of practice and getting a good soundbite of it. It was he missed practice because he was at the funeral for one of his best friends. So it's I'm not a gatekeeper on photography, Steven. It's context is what I'm talking about. There's always like a sadder or a darker story behind a lot of these things that we kind of poke fun of. And so yeah, I feel like people should stop doing it. And Chaparral says the AI practice clip is so fucked how the meaning has twisted over the years. Exactly. And as a kid, I always kind of knew that, which is why I rarely ever poke fun at that. But of course, if it comes up in conversations, yeah, I'll kind of jump in on it from time to time, but it's not generally something I'm going to bring up. But anyway, Cy Cuevas, what's up, dude? Next NBA All-Star game weekend should have Steph Curry, Dame Lillard versus Giannis and Clark in a three-point contest. I agree with that. That's going to be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Anyway, moving on into what do I have next? Women's soccer, just ladies, just highlighting the top of the show. US women's team took down Brazil by the score of 1-0 thanks to a Lindsey Horan uh Lindsey Horan goal in the 45 or 45th minute, but more specifically, first minute of stoppage time. So first half, and in the Women's Gold Cup. Now, this is the 10th CONCACAF Championship / Gold Cup the U.S. women have won. However, this is the first time that Brazil and a bunch of other countries outside of CONCACAF have been invited to this tournament. And Chaparral says, yes, the Gold Cup game against Canada was fucked, man. And I agree with that. Canada should have won that one. But either way, this is another trophy on the mantle of U.S. women's soccer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all you Canadians out there. But it really goes to show just like how much, a lot of people thought there was going to be a downgrade in women's soccer. Yet here they are still putting championships on their mantle, continuing winning big games. There's no slowing down for U.S. women's soccer. Now, for the men, I mean, we have 2026 to look forward to, which is going to be the North American World Cup. But the fact that the US, Canada, and Mexico all get automatic qualifiers, it kind of downgrades that feeling a little bit. Obviously, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like the US men have put in the work like the way the women have. And you could go on for days, whatever, talk about, talent difference, whatever. But the reality is, women's soccer has been treated more respectfully as far as I'm talking like from bottom level, elementary school, club leagues, whatever, into high school, into college, into the pros, or at least outside of amateurship. I feel like it's been taken more seriously on the women's side than it ever has for the men's because I mean, you look at other countries and stuff, their feeder programs start very little. And people outside the US have more respect for playing for their country, and so they take it as a much bigger deal. And so I feel like that's, how it's been for the women. There aren't a lot of avenues for professional sports for women outside of, the WNBA, but that only goes back to like 1997. There are some women's soccer leagues that have a huge draw. But every now and then some close up shop, some set up somewhere else, etc. So not a lot of options, but being on the women's national team is definitely top tier. So shout out to them. Continue the streak that you ladies are on. Keep kicking ass. Um, Comments. Am I hitting the match? Which match? Oh, for World Cup for the men's in 2026? Goddamn right I am. Wherever England goes, I'm going. Chaparral says, I feel like the US women aren't as dominant because the field has caught up. I agree with that. But between men's and women's is still top of the level. And Chaparral continues saying, no matter where it would be, now they would make it past the round of 16. Oh, no, it's two different comments right there. Sorry. I feel like US women would down because the field caught up and people are getting better. I agree with that. Yes. Logan Herrera, sorry, his comment was, the men would end up making a World Cup no matter where it would be. Now they would make it past. Now, I guess it's more of a question. Would they make it past the round of 16? I don't feel like they are, but especially because they're multiplying the amount of entrants that are going to be in this World Cup because of the fact that it's going to be in 3 countries. I mean, we'll see. I agree. The men would definitely qualify. CONCACAF perspective affiliation for South America is, but their conference is definitely better than CONCACAF because CONCACAF is made up of Canada, the United States, Central American countries, and Caribbean countries, and so it's usually kind of hit or miss there. So men's for Canada has gotten obviously infinitely better over the last couple of years. U.S. men has always been decent, always seems to get into the tournaments. Mexico obviously is probably top of the ladder for that. And then you have your kind of outliers like Guatemala and Costa Rica, Honduras. Who else is usually in the mix there? Trinidad, Tobago, etc. So I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting to see like what other teams definitely qualify for 2026. But like I said, I'm an England fan, so call me Benedict Arnold. I don't care. I've been an England fan since I was 7 years old, so I'm more focused on that. And I actually finally will have an opportunity to see them play this year or in 2026. Sorry. Yeah, 48 teams, man. That's insane. Chaparral says, I've been resigned to the fact that the Canadian men's national team is going to be absolute shit. Thanks, Canada Soccer. Why? Why do you feel that way? And then Logan Herrera says, CONCACAF is probably the fourth or fifth best grouping in the world. Like, I have low expectations, CONCACAF wise versus good competition. Yes. Dude, so here's my prediction. I'd said this on Twitter like a couple weeks ago. There is a very strong possibility based on how the seeding is made up, especially at the group stage, but there is a strong possibility that on July 4th, 2026, and I believe it will be a semifinals match, if I'm not mistaken. It's quarterfinals or semifinals, but I think it's semifinals. The game, one of the 2 games is in Philadelphia. And I swear to God, if it is England versus USA that day, which is what I'm predicting, holy fucking shit, Revolutionary War Part 2. Dude, I am so fired up for that. And then of course being at Philly, if I go there all in my England gear and I don't have an accent, I'm probably gonna get my ass beat. But you know what? That's how dedicated I am to this. So anyway, I hope it happens. It's Lou says, Ben, the script is in for that game to happen. Oh, I totally believe it. That's exactly why I tweeted it out once I figured that out. As soon as they announced the date for that game to be in Philly, or it's just the venue in the city. Obviously, we haven't played any tournament games or qualifiers or anything like that, so it's like there's no telling what's going to happen. But whatever can happen possibly to set that up, it's going to happen. Nah, man, I'm not going accent. Come on. These colors don't run. No, I'll take it. I'll take a licking. It's okay. Women's national team for the Gold Cup win. So first ever in that format. Sticking with soccer, English Premier League action that happened over the weekend. Man United 2-0 over Everton. No surprise there. Crystal Palace, Luton Town with a draw. Crystal Palace, I mean, as you can see, 11th minute goal and just held that. And then Luton Town, of course, knotted it up in the 6 minute of stoppage time in the second half. To which case, the whole reason why I'm showing these games is going to, there's a reason for this. Sorry, I'm not going to get fired up right now. I got to get through all the rest of these, but you'll see the pattern. Maybe not so much in this one. Bournemouth, Sheffield United, surprising draw. Sheffield United almost got 3 points in the bag on this, but thankfully Bournemouth scored in the first minute of stoppage time in the second half to get the equalizer. Wolverhampton, damn you, taking down Fulham, who scored in the 8th minute of stoppage time to at least put one on the board. It's the 8th minute of stoppage time in the second half. But Wolverhampton took this one down. Arsenal barely escaping 2-1 victory over Brentford. That was my lock of the week this week. Nailed it. But shout out to Havertz, who I wish to God was not on Arsenal. 86-minute goal to give them the lead and get the win. Tottenham just blowing Aston Villa out of the water. Really not surprised by that. But between Sun, tied up 2-2. West Ham versus Burnley. No surprise on the draw there. Brighton getting a win over Nottingham Forest. No surprise there. Liverpool, Man City, nail biter, 1-1 draw. And then, of course, today's game, Chelsea, 3-2 victory over Newcastle. It should have been 3-1, but of course, Newcastle had to tie it up in the last, official minute of regulation before going into stoppage time. But anyway, my point is that I wanted to, spout off from the start is what the fuck is going on with all the stoppage time in every single one of these games? Like a game will typically have first half, second half, and I'm not talking about combined, but each like 1 to 3 minutes because stoppage time, it's a running clock. So it's usually, hey, we're doing substitutions. There's a hurt player on the field that obviously is going to prolong things a bit more. But there has been an absolutely nonsensical average of like 7 to 10 minutes of stoppage time in like almost fucking every game over the last couple weeks. Going back to last week with my bets in Vegas and how I cashed out thinking like, okay, yeah, these games are almost over. I don't know how much stoppage time there's going to be. And then all of a sudden, I cash out. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, hey, we got 10 minutes of stoppage time here. Why? Why is that? It makes no sense. And I mean, I had an incredible knack for years of being able to correctly predict the amount of stoppage time in each half of any game I'm watching. And yet, for whatever reason, and this goes back to our most recent World Cup, and it's probably going to bone me again this upcoming Euro Cup this year, which I'm super pumped about, which is in Germany. And the prolongment of stoppage time makes absolutely no sense. Like I get, wanting to have higher scores, much in the same sense that hockey did, but this is insane. This is absolutely fucking insane. FIFA, do something about it. I know you're not, because y'all are in the pockets of every fucking longer. That's my agree with you. This makes absolutely no goddamn sense. Sub Diego says more advertisers' monies. I noticed this since last World Cup. Yeah, dude. I don't effing get it. Like you can't just pull time out of nowhere if moments on the pitch to slow down play. The previous World Cup was pretty in minutes of stoppage time. Granted, there were some pretty horrific injuries that were going on because this is what happens when players get gassed and you do a World Cup in winter when it's didn't do that. Be more focused. So anyway, here's the table. Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Aston Villa still running at the top. Come in handy in future to over. So that was definitely a huge win for Tottenham to push them a little bit closer. Man U, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, and Newcastle round out the top 10. Chelsea also with a game in hand, just shy of the top crazy. Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Brentford, a bit clear of that relegation zone. But Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield United definitely looking like they're going down. But I still feel like Luton Town's got a fighting shot to stick with this. So anyway, um, Logan Herrera says, which low key is the worry when it comes to the NA or North America World Cup being in the middle of summer in the non-dome stadiums, the heat. I agree with that. I still don't think it's as bad as if we were in the middle of the desert in the Middle East, but I do know and understand that it will be a problem. So we'll probably have some earlier afternoon games or super late at night just to kind of like balance that out. So anyway, I haven't talked much about baseball. But then again, like if I'm not at a spring training game, just getting pissed drunk watching the game, I don't particularly care. But anyway, here's the standings for the Grapefruit League. So Baltimore obviously dominating, Boston still missing a few pieces, but clearly it's not showing in their spring training record so far. But the Rays, my God, just looking like absolute piss poor right now. So I don't know. And the same could be said about what's going on in Cactus League. So Dodgers on top, no real surprise there. I still don't feel like they're gonna make the playoffs this year. Call me crazy on that, but when I do my, regular season predictions, it will kind of make more sense. But Cleveland, Seattle, Milwaukee down at the bottom. Same with Arizona. That makes no sense. A's somehow in the middle. And then the Royals just all of a sudden on top. So yeah, none of this makes sense. None of this matters. This is just practice. But once we get into like the first two seasons, or the first 2 weeks of April, when regular season starts up, that's when we're going to start noticing like a bit of disparity between why spring training records matter slash they don't, etc. Sub Diego says, with Cole and Giolito going down, Snell and Boris licking their chops, dude. I mean, hey, they're getting paid, but F Scott Boris, man, F them. I can't wait for opening day. Parking lot of the Coliseum with a bunch of to which case that is a notable story from spring training that's kind of we're talking about how the A's in their arrogance, of course doing spring training games, they've actually been doing spring training games the last couple of years, but despite the fact that there are reports saying they sold out, that's bullshit. You watch footage of that, and there's a ton of empty seats. And then on top of which, they just decided to double down and do their own fan fest. To which case, hardly anybody showed up to that. So, shout out to Oakland fans, y'all the real deal. And I still hate myself for missing that. So, bah. What are we going next? We're going in the NBA. Not a ton of action, or at least notable games worth mentioning, I feel like. Um, Over the last week, more specifically. Boston Celtics just absolutely running away with it in the East. The Bucks are, improving under Doc Rivers, but still fighting for that second spot with the Cavaliers on their heels. Pacers at least out of the top, the bottom. Thank God back in the 7 seed, and the Sixers are just falling fast, which is kind of crazy. Indiana might actually overtake them over the next couple days. But anyway, Hawks, Bulls, Heat, Pacers. There's your 7 through 10 spots. So that's going to be playing game. But like I said, I think the Pacers should be able to finish the top 6. Losing Benedict Mathurin for the rest of the season, not great. Really wish they still had Chris Duarte. I feel like that would have kind of balanced it out there. Um, Logan Herrera says, exciting games. The Wizards beat the Heat on a buzzer beater. I mean, yeah, there was that. But that was just more hilarious, really, than anything. And Sub Diego says, Ben, not sure if you saw, but the Clippers moved their G League team from Ontario to Oceanside. Team will be the San Diego Clippers. Website is already live. Oh, actually, I kind of dig that. Speaking of which, because I got a Bill Walton jersey behind me, San Diego Clipper legend Bill Walton at that. So I think that was a smart move. It's Louis says, would be surprised if neither the Nuggets or Celtics win the title. I'm actually in agreement with you on that. I know there's been a lot of hullabaloo being said about how great this Celtics team is, but we're also talking about basically the same team we've seen over the last couple of years who have just managed to fizzle out in the postseason. So I don't know, man. Over in the West, things are a little bit different. Thunder with the top speed, aka the Zombie Sonics. Nuggets only a game behind them, followed by the Timberwolves, Clippers, Pelicans, Suns, Kings, Mavericks, Lakers, Warriors. Um, More than likely, this is how things are going to finish out. There might be some like move differences, whatever. Um, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. The Clippers were like the 1 seed a week and a half ago, and then how quickly things have shifted for Oklahoma City in their favor. Nuggets, of course, still hanging out. Same with the Timberwolves. So there's not a lot of game separation between everybody, but certain teams are getting that bit of juice at the right time. And the Lakers no longer being the 10 seed kind of concerns me a little bit because I do not want to see them make the postseason. But the Rockets, 4.5 games behind the Warriors between the 11 and 10 seed. It's more than likely this is how things are going to finish. So, bit of a bummer there. But yeah, they are, Chaparral. They are. NFL, here's what you guys all wanted to see. Got to lead off with my boy Baker Mayfield. 3-year extension for $100 million, 80 million of which is guaranteed. Damn, insanity by my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I ain't mad about it. I really feel like Baker, showed his stuff last season, proved that he is, a top caliber quarterback in the NFL. QB1 right here. Shout out exactly, Logan. So I ain't mad about it. I enjoy watching Baker Mayfield play football. So the fact that for the next 3 years and he's going to get paid an absolutely insane amount of money to do so, good for him. Good for fucking him. David Kearns, you might want to avert your eyes on this one because hustling Russell Wilson going to the Steelers. There was talk, of course, of that once he got, let go by the Broncos before the season even ended, that the Steelers were interested in going to pick him up. And sure enough, they did. To which case, goddamn. Really kind of curious to see how this is going to work out. But the one thing I will guarantee with this move, as long as Russell Wilson stays healthy, the Steelers will finish the season with a winning record because that's what Mike Tomlin does. He does not lose. So, yeah, exactly. Logan Herrera, calling it right now, 10-7 season. That is a fair assessment of how the season is going to go. It's not great, but it's good. And it's definitely not terrible. So that's kind of I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry. It was a big deal. I had to bring it up, but I'll move away from that. This is an absolutely insane move. The Atlanta Falcons, 4-year, $180 million contract, $50 million signing bonus to fucking Kirk Cousins. Torn Achilles tendon Kirk Cousins. So I don't know why in God's name anybody thought this was a great idea. But clearly the Falcons are immediately moving away from Desmond Ridder. Yeah, I didn't see this one coming. Did not see this one coming. And David Curran says Cousins is absolutely fleecing the league. Yes, this man is getting paid an ungodly amount of money to be I'm going to say above average. I'm not going to say Bijan Robinson about to be a screen pass. Oh my God, my internet cut out there. Yes, he is Bijan Ledden, screen pass legend. That is fantastic. And it's Lou says, I need Cousins agents to negotiate for me. I'm in the same boat, bro. I don't know how he has the greatest agent of all time. But this is absolutely incredible. So if you're a Falcons fan, congrats. I'm sorry. I'm not really sure how to gauge this one yet. But y'all dealt with Matt Ryan for a number of years, and he was a guy above average. Should have never blown that Super Bowl. This one blew my mind. Saquon Barkley staying within the NFL or the NFC East, but going to a different team. That, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles, 3-year, $37.75 million. Now, Here's something that needs to be discussed. 3-year deal, $37.75 million. 4-year, $180 million contract for Kirk Cousins. And of course, 3-year, $100 million for Baker Mayfield. Now, there's a lot to be said in regard to the importance of the position of the quarterback and the running back. But the mere fact that the running back takes a hell of a lot more of a beating than the quarterback and is responsible, I would say, well over, because as everybody says, football is a running game. It's never a quarterback game, it's a running game. So the disparity of pay between running backs and quarterbacks will just like never cease to amazing. It is so fucked up. But I get it from the perspective of the beatings that a player takes, and there's always so many running backs in rotation that's why you can't pay, a triple figure contract to a running back that you can for a quarterback. And it's just like, offense goes to the quarterback. Yeah, I get that. But oh my fucking God, dude, running backs, if you're basically what it comes down to, it reminds me of Antoine Randall out like years ago talking about, damn, I kind of wish I played professional baseball because I would have made more money doing that. And that's how I feel like a lot of running backs, the attitude that they should have, especially coming out of college. If you can hit a ball with a bat, you're guaranteed to make more money than you ever will in the NFL. And so with that, it's just like I say, dude, hit the diamond, man. Make that money. But yeah, madness that he's going to the Eagles. This one I actually got to break to Austin during our meeting this morning. Um, Gabe Davis, 3-year, $39 million contract to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. What in God's name? Did not see this one coming. Um, Good for him. Good for him. Um, Big move for the Raiders. Christian Wilkins, 4-year deal, $110 million. The fact that him and Max Crosby get to work together and just absolutely destroying every single quarterback, not only in the the AFC West, but any other opponent that he get. The amount of sacks these two men are going to get next season is going to be incredible. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing that. DeAndre Swift going to the Bears, 3-year, $24 million. I feel like that's a good place for him. I really do. The one thing about Chicago is they've always been consistently good with their run game, much of the same sense of Denver. So hey, good on him. And of course, him going to the Bears allowed Saquon Barkley to go to the Eagles. So kind of worked out well for everybody in regard to that. I had to throw this one in because I know David's going to be happy about this. Mitch Trubisky going to the Bills. So that, of course, ushered in the Russell Wilson move. Almost said Westbrook there, but Russell Wilson move to get him into the Steelers. So good on him. Josh Jacobs leaving the Raiders, going to the Packers. And of course, that meant the Packers had to get rid of Aaron Jones. And Logan Herrera in the comments, Cowboys fan, want Aaron Jones so bad to come back home. I agree with that. I feel like it's a smart move. Logan Herrera is also emphasizing he went to UTEP, which of course, University of Texas, El Paso. Shout out to him and shout out to Tim Hardaway and Antonio Davis, who also went to UTEP. It's Luis says, someone on Twitter said the Jaguars are basically the NFL version of the Brooklyn Nets with their receivers. They're basically all number 2 or number 3. Somebody made a comment in our meeting earlier in regard to the Jaguars, basically saying they're just loading up just before they make their big move to London. So I feel like that's a part of it as well. Logan Hurst says low key can see the Raiders finishing second next season. I could see that as well. And especially one of the other graphics I'm going to have here. Hold on one second. Let me go over to it real quick. I'll come back to that one. Gardner Minshew, 2-year contract, $25 million to go to the Raiders. So at least they're getting a solid backup out of this, but it is like really apparent that the Raiders are going to try and get a quarterback in the draft this year. I feel like the Aiden O'Connell experiment, it went okay, but I still feel like he needs a bit more development. But hey, Gardner Minshew is your number 2 guy. Solid move. So it really becomes more of a question of who they're going to go after in the draft. Um, I kind of feel like it's going to be Jaden Daniels, but it's really more of a question of whether or not Caleb Williams is actually going to go number one. Um, I mean, Bo Nix is being speculated to be going to Denver, like first round Denver, which blows my mind because I would have figured he'd be a second or a third round pick. But hey, I ain't mad about it. Go Ducks, baby. So it's been a long time since I've like really looked forward to watching the NFL draft, which of course is going to be next month. But I'm fired up. I'm getting pissed drunk on round one. So we'll see how that goes. Chaparral 2K says hockey free agency. Scrimblow Bimblow signs with the Idaho Steels for a bag of chips. Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. I mean, there were some big moves that were made in the NHL last week, to which case Tomas Hertl going to the Knights. Like, why the Sharks thought that was a good idea to trade within their division rival. Sharks have got some fucking problems, man, and they need to fix it. Signing for the Packers, so I know Steven Seavrings are looking right now for Jordan Love and company. That was one I want to go back to. But anyway, college basketball, baby. More specifically, Pac-12 tournament. This, of course, is going to be the final Pac-12 tournament that we're ever going to see because the vast majority of the Pac-12, of course, is moving. With the exception of Washington State and Oregon State, they're just going to be the Pac-2. But Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA are going to the Big Ten. Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Big 12, and then Stanford, Cal going to ACC, which still confuses the hell out of me. But I gotta say, the matchups that we have for night one, which is Wednesday, woo! God, I can't wait. And thank God, Oregon, they tried their best to lose the last game of the season, which if they would have lost to Utah, it would have actually dropped them down to the 5th seed and they would have had to play the first day. So thankfully they finished top 4, so they get a bye into the second round. Appreciate it, Ducks. But anyway, here's what we got. 12 o'clock game, Washington versus USC. And of course, I need to pick out all my jerseys that I'll be taking because, yeah, I'll be taking Oregon jerseys, of course, obviously for when Oregon plays, but I got to swap it out for all these other games. Uh, Second game is going to be UCLA versus Oregon State. Absolutely hilarious that Oregon State was the first team to lock a spot. And of course, that was the bottom tier 12 seed. So shout out to the Beavs there. And then the game I'm looking most forward to, Cal Stanford, one last time. Yeah, it's a first round game, but oh my God, these two schools hate each other. And you bet your balls I'll be betting on the side of Cal. And then, of course, last Utah versus Arizona State. This is like the one game where I feel like of the first round of the Pac-12 that there will be an upset. And Steven and I have been talking back and forth in regard to like how we feel like this tournament is going to shake out. And he's riding high, or at least was for a period of time, riding to be an upset in the first round. Arizona State internet cut out again. My God. So anyway, the way I see this one shaking out, I've got USC winning their first matchup, so a 9 over an 8 seed. I feel like that's close enough to not necessarily call it an upset, and especially considering the fact that USC had just beaten Washington recently. So, I'll take the underdog pick. No big deal there. UCLA, not a great UCLA team like we've seen in the past. But I still feel like UCLA is going to dominate Oregon State in this one. So they're moving on to play Oregon. God damn it. Uh, if there was a time where I hope Oregon State gets their shit together, it's against UCLA, but I still feel like it's going to be Oregon versus UCLA in the second round. But anyway, I've got Cal upsetting Stanford, or not upsetting, but just beating Stanford. They've done it really well during the regular season, so I can't think of any reason why it's going to continue, or it's not going to continue on a neutral ground. So bring that on. And then, yeah, Arizona State over Utah. That's my big upset pick. Southside Steven Searise says, can't wait to make $15.86 from a $5 with these picks. Right? That's how it goes, man. But yeah, that'll push into the second round. So this will be the Thursday matchup. So it would mean Arizona versus USC. Um, Interesting game here because um, Arizona just lost to USC. If I'm not mistaken, hold on one sec. I had this written down. Yeah, they did. So the last regular season game for both Arizona USC won by like 14 points. So that'll be an interesting matchup for the second round. What up, Tone Cruz? Um, Oregon, UCLA. They both split the regular season, despite the fact that Oregon should have won both games. I'm still taking Oregon in this one. But for the Arizona USC game potential, I got to think Arizona's going to get their shit together. Like, I have to think that they benched their starters because Arizona obviously locked up the 1 seed, which means they won the regular season championship. So that's the only logical reason why USC beat Arizona. So anyway, Tone Cruz. Yeah, we just talked about free agency a little bit ago. I'm sorry. Washington State versus Cal. I've got Wazoo on this one. Wazoo did big for me when I was in Vegas by taking down Arizona, winning me like $220. Appreciate that, guys. I feel like you do it again. And then Colorado versus Arizona State. I'm going with Colorado. So brings us into now Friday night's game. So this is going to be the semifinals. So Arizona, Oregon. I mean, I hope to God Oregon wins this game, but I feel like Arizona's got it in the bag. Arizona has just used Oregon as a punching bag all season. Like, there were some sporadic moments where Oregon looked great against Arizona, but injuries and stuff are going to catch up. And then, not to mention, Oregon has trouble hitting free throws, which is not good when you're just allowed to shoot from 15 feet away, unguarded, and you can't score points. So Arizona over Oregon. And then Washington State, I feel like is going to take down Colorado. So Arizona, Washington State will be our final on Saturday for the rematch. I'm looking forward to this. Steven says, can you do an 11 pick parlay for the whole tournament? There has to be a way to do it. I just don't think I can necessarily do it through like the MGM app or anything like that. Because you still have to wait for like the money line and everything like that to come out. So I think it's just more of a matter of just like pressing your luck and just continuing the winning on forward. So, but to which case, I've got Washington State winning the Pac-12 tournament. They've already proved twice this year at home and on the road. So I don't feel like a neutral site's going to be any different for Washington State. They've beaten Arizona. So why not do it a third time? Punch that ticket, baby. But hey, one thing shout out the years of 20 wins, and more than likely Oregon is not going to make the tournament because they did the same thing last year and they went to the NIT. It's a huge bummer, and I'm looking forward to what they can do in the Big Ten next year. So anyway, shout out to you, Dana. Um, Ben's picks from last week. I was getting my shit wrecked completely for the last month or so. But your boy, perfect 4 for 4 last week. Arsenal win over Brentford, of course, was my lock of the week. Canucks beat the Kings in overtime on March 5th. Kings over the Spurs. That was a crazy fucking finish to the game because there was no way the Kings should have won that game. But they did. Perseverance, baby. And then Utah State over New Mexico. All 3 of those games, actually every single game of my list here was not like an easy victory. Like I said, Canucks won in overtime. The Kings needed like some last second desperation to win that. And then Utah State only winning by 2 over New Mexico. So, but Utah State is my pick to win the Mountain West Conference. It'll be going on down the street from where we're at. So go Aggies, baby. But yeah, my picks for this week. Of course, I didn't choose anything in the Pac-12 because that's when things go wrong for me. So of course I made my week is going to the Manhattan over Iona. Look them up. But yeah, Manhattan should win over Iona. The last time they played, Manhattan definitely won that. I've got Golden Knights over the Kraken. That's going to be tomorrow. Celtics over the Suns on the 14th. This, of course, is because the Celtics just beat the Suns by 10 points in Phoenix, and now the game is going to be in Boston. So I don't see any reason why that's going to be any different. And then Tottenham over Fulham, which should push Tottenham back into the top 4 because there are so many games that are being postponed this week for English Premier League. There are only 4 games being played, 3 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And that has everything to do with, international time off because of other tournaments and stuff like that. But it's mostly being caught up from the Caribou Cup and the FA Cup, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, for the because the few games they played. So, yeah. Southside Steven Seabright says picking against Tony Khan should be illegal. Hey, man, I bet on Fulham. Yeah, I cashed out because I wimped out, but I was correct on that pick with Fulham against Manchester United. I mean, something that hadn't been done in 20 years, and I fucking nailed that one on the head. So don't be hating on me on that one. Chaparral says sickos hours when you're betting on mid-major tournaments. Dude, this is the time to bet on mid-major tournaments. What are you talking about, man? I got to get all the wins in that I can. This is going to be incredible. Oh my God. Aristocrat says, hey, do you want to know what comes first between the chicken and the egg? No. No, I do not. Because I feel like something terrible is about to be said out of your mouth if I say yes. To which case I say no. But anyway, yeah. Flip the script tomorrow. We're going to be doing NBA 2K because we both have it loaded up on our Xboxes now. I'll probably pay the plays the Pacers. Let's be real. I don't know who Austin's going to pick for his. And then recap on Wednesday. I will not be here for recap this week because I will be in Las Vegas, but I might just like tune in, talk on the chat, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I was going to say, if they allow me in on the video, then maybe I'll do that, but we'll see what happens with that. But here's the problem. So Monday, Steven and I head home from Vegas. There goes my camera. Hold on one sec. God. Everything was going so terribly, and why not make things worse? I'll wait till the camera comes back on. Are we good? There we go. So Monday, I'll be flying home late because I think my flight out of Vegas leaves around like 8 p.m. or something like that. Actually, let me double check. Because this will have an effect on when we do Benchwarmers next week. But the one thing I want to say is I definitely want to do Benchwarmers before the NCAA tournament starts because I want us to do like a group bracket like we did last year. I know for a fact we're going to be doing our NCAA March Madness bracket challenge again. So keep an eye on Discord for that. I was hoping Flashfire being here because I know he and Third Line will have all the details about that. But I know for a fact we're doing it again. Give me one sec. What is my flight home from Vegas? Oh, actually, okay, never mind. So my flight out of Vegas leaves 8. I know that would be a super late show to time. I want to get it done because I can't do it on Tuesday because we do flip the script that day. So I won't be able to have a chance to do it. So hopefully we can get it done next Monday. So I'll keep you guys in the loop on that. I'll get it set up and ready to go. And maybe the whole show will just be about that, just us doing a bracket together. And then highlighting, all the madness that Steven and I were able to witness while we're in Vegas. So that actually sounds like fun. Steven, if you're still on here, I say no, because you'll still be flying. I'll get home way before you, so never mind. Screw that. But anyway, we'll figure it out. Yeah, I agree. A group bracket would be super fun. But anyway, keep an eye out on Discord for the March Madness bracket challenge. If you get a perfect bracket, you win 100 hats. Fucking 100 hats. So I, of course, will be doing one, so you'll be fighting with me on that. But like I said, I want to do a group bracket together. But anyway, guys, always a pleasure doing this. Sorry, it was a little spotty with the internet and stuff, and it kind of screwed me up. But looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for Flip the Script, play a little NBA 2K against Austin. And then yeah, then I'll see you guys next week. So appreciate you guys as always. Love you guys. And of course, take it easy. And if you don't take it sleazy, I will see you tomorrow. Peace.